Hey guys, so in this episode you're going to learn how to build this startup called ShareATutorial, and this app is all about sharing useful tutorials. So we will start completely from scratch as always, and we will use for that Ruby on Rails. And so once we have finished this app, we will have something like that where first off for example, I can click here one of these links and I get a preview of the link itself, and then I can click on the link and this will take me to the tutorial itself. Okay, so obviously this is one of my tutorials that I've shared, and I can go back, I can look at other tutorials and check them out and see if I like them. We will also add a pagination, so we will have at most only 9 items per page. And if there are more tutorials that people want to share, well, it will be paginated. So I can click here on 2 and this will take me to the next page. So we will implement this as well. Of course, we will have, as always, a full authentication system where we can manage our tutorials that we have created and edit them and destroy them. And we will also have the ability, of course, to create new tutorials. So one awesome feature is that we can create a link made by Codebase-Camp. Super awesome. And so what I can do now is I can head over here to my channel, take this video here, click on that, click on share, copy that, and paste that inside my app, like so. And if you're familiar with Reddit, you probably know that if you share a link on Reddit, it kind of gives users a preview image, screenshot, or however you want to call it, for the link. And I've implemented that as well. So if I click on add tutorial, this will take a little bit longer because it will go to this link and take a screenshot of the page. And the screenshot will be then shared to the database, and we can then also view that. Okay, so we have now here an image link. And if I go back to the main page and go to the second page, down here, we should see the link that I've just created. So here we have Slack clone made in Rails, and I can click on view, and as you can see, it took a screenshot from how I've made a Slack clone Rails 6, and I can click on the link, and this will take me to the tutorial, in this case just a showcase. And yeah, overall this app is pretty awesome. There will be also a part 2 for now, but for now this is part 1. And I can't wait to get started. I hope you will enjoy it. So before we finally start, I want to quickly thank you everyone who has subscribed to my channel. I am currently at 608 subscribers, so only 492 subscribers left until I finally reach my personal goal of 1000 subscribers. So if you enjoy this tutorial, if you enjoy any of my tutorials on my channel, make sure to like them and make sure to subscribe because it helps really a lot. And so yeah. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed so far, and let's get started. So if you're not on a Windows 10 machine and if you're not using the Linux subsystem as I do, you don't need to do what I will do here quickly. So I need to cd to my CC partition. Again, if you're using Mac, Linux, or even Windows and you're not using a subsystem, you don't need to do that here. Okay, only if you're using the subsystem, because with that I can create projects on my C partition, right? So I can then easily access them via going to the local disk here. So inside there I have created already a folder called code, and inside code I have a bunch of different folders here, again based on the environment I'm using. So for this tutorial we are going to use Rails, therefore I will cd to Rails, and then we can create a new project, and we will use for this tutorial Rails 5.2. And then let's just call it ShareATut, like so. Let's hit enter, and so this will initialize and generate all the files and install all gem files so that we can start developing our app. And this tutorial is not a beginner tutorial, so I will not explain here every single thing. If you are a beginner in Rails or in web development, you can still follow along, but I highly suggest you to watch my other tutorials where I explain basic stuff more in detail. So that's one thing you need to keep in mind, because if I would explain here every single thing, this tutorial will be probably many hours long. So share tools, let's cd into our project, and then I will open up the text editor, and we will add to our gem file first of device, because we need authentication obviously, and then we will also add bootstrap so that we have some styles going on here right in the beginning of this tutorial. So let's just add your device, and then down here we will add bootstrap. So for that, let's head over to RubyGems, and then let's search for bootstrap, and then let's take the first results and copy this here to the clipboard, paste it in, and then we can pretty much just run bundle install. And while Race is installing that, let's head over to the documentation page of the gem here. And then we need to do a few things in order to make Bootstrap work. So first off, we need to add this to the application SCSS file. So let's head over to app assets, style sheets, and then let's rename the file to SCSS, like so. And then we can just paste it here in. Then the next thing we need to do is to also add jQuery arrays. So let's quickly paste it here in as well, and run bundle install actually one more time. And then we also need to copy these here and add them to application.js. So application.js, and then just paste them in between turbo links and the required T, just like so. Okay, now that we have done that, let's initialize device, so raise g device install, and then we need to open up the app HTML file. And then here inside the body tag, we will paste these alerts in that device will give you here in just a moment. So with these, we get basically like the message or messages if we have signed in, sign out, kind of like a response to our actions inside device. Yeah, and sometimes this can take a little bit longer. There we go, now it worked. Let's just copy these here, and let's just paste them in. And then let's also copy the config action mailer, and let's paste that inside development RB. There we go. Got all of that. Now let's create our device user. And then let's also create our controller for the landing page. So I will call mine simply, or I will add simply the index and the show page and hit enter. All right. Now we could also already create the tutorial model and control and things like that, but I think this will be for you more confusing. So let's first off take care of the styles on our app, and then later on we will come back and add the functionality for your tutorials as well. I think this way it's easier for you to understand, instead of like just creating a bunch of data here without you really knowing why we do that. So let's start the server to see what we got so far. So we can close that. Let's head over to localhost 3000. And I forgot actually to run raise-db migrate. Let's do this quickly. And let me double check if I'm really recording. I do. That's good. Now raise s. And so because I haven't set the root or whatsoever, we should get just the template when we go to localhost 3000, which is the case. But if I go, for example, to landing index, we should get back the index page. Oh, there's actually no route. I think we can just go to landing index. Should actually work. Maybe it's because Arrays is messing this up because it thinks it's a CRUD. So the first thing we're going to do is to say resources, landing, and then only, and then we will limit that to the index and the show. Maybe it's because of that. Actually it worked, but if I refresh it now, you will see it still works because we just changed that to a CRUD path. Okay, so we got all of that down. Now let's close here pretty much all of these files except for, or actually Let's close all of them, and then let's head over, close here everything, and then let's open up the layouts, landing, index page. Okay. And then let's head over to getbootstrap.com and let's click here on examples. And for this tutorial, I'm going to use the album theme here. So let's click on that, right click, inspect, and then we want, actually not inspect, but we want to view the page source. And I would just copy here pretty much all of that, like so, and paste it inside the index.html EAB file. Okay, and now if we head over to our app again, we should be able to see these styles applied to our app, but we don't. So let me quickly see what's going on here, because I clearly added that to the landing index.html file, but it's not loading it. I guess I will restart my server. Alright, that's because I have here /index and it takes it as an ID. So we landed basically on the show file. We just have to type in landing because we added the CRUD, so Raze is taking care of that in the background. And so we have now this theme here inside our app. Awesome, everything is working, so we can close these examples here. And so the next thing is to kind of like refactor our app. Because currently that's kind of like messy and we don't want to have all this information here inside index.html. So let's just copy here pretty much everything that is inside, let's see, everything that is inside the header, like so, except for the head. Let's remove that and then let's move over to application HTML EAB and paste it inside the head here, okay? And so if I refresh the app, you will see that nothing has really changed. We still get the same result, which confirms that we did nothing wrong. So we can remove the head here, and then let's take the complete header like so, copy that, cut that out, and then let's just paste it here inside the application HTML file inside the body. So again, we should still have the same result. The only thing that has now changed is that the nav bar is now at the top. And so if you ask yourself where this gap is coming from, that's not something we did. That's because we have these alert classes here. And these classes have basically a margin and a padding attached to them. So therefore we have this gap here. But I don't think actually it looks bad. It looks actually like we intended to do that. So I would just leave it as it is. And then let's check out what we can do here. The next thing is to remove all the col and the force here, except for the first one. Let's go here to the second one and grab all of them. Let's scroll down to reach the bottom. Make sure to grab the last div from the col and the for here. Let's remove that so that we have only one col and the for left here. All right, and then let's take care of all these texts here. So let's call this ShareATutorial. And then let's change this text here as well quickly. The fastest way to find the best tutorials. And then we can just change the dummy buttons to maybe join and maybe explore. There we go. Okay, and then down here we have the footer. ShareATutorial is the way to find tutorials. And then we can take pretty much the whole footer and the script here at the bottom as well. Let's just grab everything here except for the body. Like so. Let's copy that, cut that out, and we can move that here inside or under the yield as well. Okay, so now we have the footer here as well, and I actually have an extension called Prettier, but I think it only works for HTML files, and sometimes it doesn't work at all. I'm not quite sure why. Oh, I think No, it didn't do anything. Yeah, I have to take a look at that later on. So basically, Prettier automatically formats your HTML files, which is pretty handy, especially if you're working with templates or themes and you integrate them to your app. It can become sometimes quite a mess, so it's really helpful to have Prettier, but for some reason it's not always working. All right, so we got all of that down. Let's refresh actually the app to see how it looks so far. All right, so we have now only one card here, and then we have here the footer. Let's take care of the navigation. So inside application HTML ERB, let's change this here to ShareATutorial. And then we want to change the text here quickly to something that makes more sense. So the way to learn quickly web stuff. And then we will basically remove all these links here, or for now we will just change that to sign in and then sign up, and then also sign out. Right, and let's change this here to account, and down here let's change this to ShareATutorial, and then we're pretty much finished, I guess. Let's see how this looks like now. Get now here ShareATutorial and the account here, and yeah, everything works. So to have some kind of basic navigation, I will quickly create here these links, or make them a real link, so that we can easily sign in, sign out, because that's like a very important feature inside our app. So inside application HTML here, let's create here a link, and then inside here a link to sign in, and then new user session path, and then make sure to add the class of text white. Right, close that, and now we'll just copy that, and then we can remove these dummy links here, and then let's change them here to sign up, and then instead of session we want to have registration path, and then instead of saying sign in, we want to say sign out here, and then it's the destroy user session path, and then very important, we need to add the method delete. And with that, we should have real links now that let us sign up, for example. So if I click on sign up, it worked. I can sign up a new user, and it redirected us here. Password confirmation doesn't match password. So one more time. Yeah, it worked now. Okay, since this redirected us to the template page there, let's head over to routes. Make sure to add your route to a landing index, so that we are always redirected and go directly to the index path whenever we try to reach localhost 3000. So we have signed up successfully, so this works, everything. Now the next thing is to kind of like limit these links, because once we are signed in, we no longer want to see the sign in, sign up links, but only sign out link. And if we are signed out, we only want to see the sign in, sign up link, but not the sign out link, because that wouldn't make too much sense. Let's quickly add here if statements if user signed in, and then make sure to add the end tag. So if the user signed in, well, then I just want to render this link here, and if that's not the case, well, then we want to do something else. We just want to render these links here, and there we go. We have now only sign out link. If I sign out, we have only the sign up and sign in link. Okay. Notice all of that is now working. So from here, the next step would be to add the ability to create tutorials, right? So let's take care of that. So let's shut down the server, and then let's run raise g scaffold tutorial, and the tutorial will have a title, a description, which will be a text, then a user references, Then we also want to have a link, which will be a string, so we can just leave it empty. Then it will have a link, image link, which will be also just a string. And yeah, that would be basically it, if I have not forgotten here something. So let's hit enter. And then we need to run raise db migrate. And then we can also start the server again once that's finished. Right, raise as. And then let's close here, I think. And then let's head over to app, assets, style sheets, and make sure to remove here the scaffold as CSS file, because that is overriding our bootstrap styles, which is something we don't want. Right, and now if I head over to tutorials, I can create a new tutorial. So let's just add here the first one, block with categories, super awesome, made by Codebase. The user is for now just the first user. We will just fix this in just a moment. And then I will take, you know, for example, a link here. And then the image link will be empty for now. So let's click here on create tutorial, see if it worked. There we go, tutorial was successfully created. And we get all these information here. Now let's head over to user RB, and let's add here also the has many connection to tutorials. All right. And now let's take care of the main page, because what we can see here is kind of like a small admin panel, or I want this to be a small admin panel for each individual user. I don't want visitors for this website to be able to see that or even be able to manage that, because you know, a user should be able to create new tutorials or edit them or destroy them, but that should be something only a specific user should be able to do who has created this link. So what we need to do is we need to kind of first off render the information here on the front page, and then we also need to render the information that was given for the tutorial on the show page. So let's do this quickly as well. So I will head over to index.html ERB, and then here where we have this md4, let's add here a new iteration, and let's say add tutorials, each do tutorial. Right, and then make sure to close that just where the div closes the md4, so ends. All right, and then I want to add all the information data here. So I will add here inside the text the tutorial title, and then for the view I will create a new link to view. And then we will go to landing path, add the tutorial ID, and then class will be the btn small, btn outline, secondary. Okay, and then we can pretty much remove these dummy links here, because now we have a relink. And let's see, what do we have here? Where is this coming from? So we can remove the text here, but only the text. Make sure what is going on here. Just make sure to remove the rect here, and it seems like this is getting messy. Okay, so that we are only left with the title and the SVG class, like so. Okay, now we need to head over to the landing controller and add here the tutorials variable, and now we should be able to see our first tutorial, but we don't. So let's see, I forgot here to close that, I guess. There we go. And now we have our first card here with block with categories. And if I click on that, it takes us to the show page. So let's quickly style the show page as well. So show HTML ERB, and make sure to use the landing show page. And then here we just quickly create a container. Make sure to use just HTML so that we can use emit with container. And then I will use a div dflex flex row justify content center, and then a div call md8, and then here div card, and inside here a div card header. Inside the header I will add tutorial.title like so, and then inside the div card body I will add for now just the tutorial description. Make sure to add that maybe inside of elite tag. So add tutorial description, and then we also want to add maybe the link. So we can do that by saying link to add tutorial.link, add tutorial.link. All right, so now that we have done that, let's head over to Line Controller and make sure to find the tutorial that we try to access. And now if I refresh that, we should have the card with the link and everything is working. Let's add here also maybe a link to go back maybe to the front page again. So link to back root path. And then we can add the class of btn outline secondary. Right, and make sure to wrap that up inside a paragraph or something like that, because otherwise it will be aligned next to our link, which is something I don't want. All right, and then we can add maybe 2 breakings here so that there is some kind of space between the link and the button. There we go. This works. We can navigate through all of that. All right, awesome. So the next thing we need to do is to take care of our form. So here where we have the user ID, let's change that and let's add here a value of the current user ID, and then make sure to change this to a hidden field. And the same goes here for the image link. Actually we can completely remove that because we will assign this later on inside our controller. Okay, we get all of that down. Now inside the index page of tutorials we need to limit our link so that we can only access that when we are signed in. So if user signed in, that is the case, well then we want to render this link. Right, and then I guess we can also head over quickly to app HTML ERB, and here once we have signed in we can render a new link. And again I need to change this quickly. So here I can say link and then link to tutorials or manage tutorials, makes probably more sense. And then we want to go to tutorials path and then add here the class of text white. Let's close that, and now we should see the link here once we have signed in. Right, so manage tutorials, and this will lead me to this page here. Okay, we get all of that down, it works. We can view that and we can click on these links, and as you can see it takes me to the tutorial I just shared, which is basically my personal tutorial where you can learn how to create a block with categories. Just in case you wonder how to do that, make sure to check this one out as well after you have finished this tutorial here. And let's go back. So we got all of that down. This is all working. Now, the next thing would be to kind of like add the ability to take a screenshot of the link we have shared. So if you're familiar with Reddit, if somebody shares a link on Reddit, you probably noticed that it has oftentimes a screenshot of the web page or the link that the user has shared. Now, this is actually a little bit complex to do because you need some kind of like second server or like a second job that kind of like takes a screenshot and then shares it or saves it inside your app so that you can load that and share it with the visitors of your app. Now, when you're using, for example, Node.js and things like that, you need quite a few dependencies to do that. But luckily in Rails, we have GAM that we can use, and it makes it super easy to actually implement that. So let's head over to RubyGems and search for Ghastly. And then we would just copy that to your clipboard and head over, first off, close here everything, then let's head over to GAM5 and paste it in. And then let's run bundle install. And let's head over to documentation. And this can take sometimes a little bit longer on my side. That's because my internet connection is like going sometimes a little bit crazy. I assume it has something to do with my Wi-Fi. Turns to get really slow at some points. I guess it's time to change it at some point, but it's still working. All right, that's a good thing. So make sure to add that to the GAM file just like I did and run bundle install. And now what we can do is we can head over to our landing, actually to our tutorials controller. And then here, I want to do a few things. The first thing I want to do is to create a new variable called name. And the name will be for the tutorials here simply just the email address of the current user. And then let's add also like a random number to it. So ran from 0 to 1000. I think for this tutorial we will be totally fine with that. And then I want to take a screenshot. So all I need to do with that is to ask Ghastly to capture a specific route. And we have stored the route inside our link, right? So we can simply say add tutorial.link. And then we need to define the output. So here we just go to app, assets, images, and then add here additionally the where's the tutorial the name. And then I would take the tutorial and say update attribute, take the image link and store it to the name like so. Normally, whenever we create now a new tutorial, it should go to the tutorial link that we have added, take a screenshot, save it to our app assets images folder, and then we update the attribute, and therefore we should be able to access the image link, So let's try this out. Let's head over, make sure to start the server, and then I will head over and create a new tutorial. And this description doesn't really matter. And then I will just take from ebay.com a screenshot. So when I click now create tutorial, it should take a little bit longer because it would take in the background a new screenshot of the given link. And then it should save it to our database. Let's see if everything works. It's actually a good sign that it is taking a little bit longer. And as you can see, I get here this error message, which is not really relevant. And it did hear something. I have to check out later these errors. Seems like our app is still working and seems like these errors are coming from Bootstrap. So we don't really need to take care of that. And as you can see, we have now here our tutorial successfully created, and we have the title, description, the user, and the user is currently hashed, but that's not really important. What's important is that we have the link here, ebay.com, and now we have the image link test@test.com and a random number. So that's basically exactly what we set here, right? And if we head now over to assets, images, you see that we have now in fact 2 images, so it took somewhere a second image as well, but we have here an image, and if we click on that, we get an error that, you know, this is not supported. So there's one thing we are missing, and that's to add the PNG tag. So with that, when I refresh this, it would take another image, another screenshot. With that, we should be able to see that. So the image link should have the PNG tag attached to it. There we go. So I took a screenshot, and in fact, if we go over now here, we should see the screenshot of ebay.com, which is awesome because it worked. Nice. Okay, the next thing we need to do is to display that on our landing page, so, or in show page. So let's head over to show landing, and let's see, just under the description, let's add here the image tag, and let's say a tutorial image link, and then let's add the style of width 100%. Let's close that, and we should now be able to see, first of all, we have now our second tutorial here, and if I click on that, we got now the image back. Awesome. Now, when I click on the first one, you see we have no image. That's because we have not loaded here anything. But what we can do always is we can head over to tutorials, click here simply on show, and this will always take a new screenshot. So obviously we need to refactor our code, but as you can see, it took now a new screenshot. And if I head over again to locus 3000, we have now also an image, or we should have one from this one here. And we get here this error that, you know, the browser does not currently recognize any of the video formats available, but that doesn't really matter, because what matters is it took a screenshot of Robbie and Ray's block with categories, which is exactly the link that we have shared. Awesome, so this is all working. Now let's display the image here on the front page, and I don't want to open that up now. So let's display the image here on the index page. So all we need to do is to head over to index.html and then down here where it says where we have the data here. What we can do is we can add, at least we should be able to do that. I'm not 100% sure. We should be able to say tutorial image link. Let's see if we get something back. No. Undefined methods. Yeah, it's not add tutorial, it's just tutorial. But it's empty because it's just a placeholder, right? So I guess what I will do instead is I will create an image tag here as well to the tutorial image link, and then I will just try to use here the BD placeholder image card image top, and hopefully this will give us back, make sure to close that, will give us back the image. It does it, which is pretty awesome. The problem is that it's not really the same size, so let's see if we can limit that. The problem will be that when we limit that, it was kind of like stretch that. So let's first remove here the dummy placeholder, and then let's try to add here style, maybe the height, max height, limited to 150 pixels. Again, this will kind of like stretch the image or blur it out. So let's see if we can change it to maybe 300. I think 300 is okay. Still looks a little bit stretched. let's see if we add a max width. We could do it this way. So 150, and the max width should be always just 100 pixels. And then I guess I can add here div the flex row, justify content center, and then a width of 100. And again, it didn't use the HTML. And then I can move that in, and this should kind of like move this image always to the center. And let's play around with the width. Maybe you can stretch it out a little bit, like so. And I think we're fine with that. I mean, this gives you kind of like a good preview, I think. Right, and if we click on that, we get then this here. All right. So all of that is working. We get the links, we get the previews, and we can always create new tutorials. And it will always take like the image from the link that we have given. So if I use here the video where I showed how I've built the Slack clone, seems like my internet is again not working. Let's see. Let's try this out one more time. I guess we have just to wait a few seconds again. So while this is loading, what can we do instead? Let's see. We did all of that. Our front page is working. Yeah, my internet is again crashing, so I guess I have to pause the video here until it's working again, because otherwise I won't be able to install any GAM files whatsoever. It says that I'm still connected, but I cannot reach the website, so at least my app is still working. I can still you know, click on all these links because obviously I'm just running this locally. So the last thing that we actually need to do to kind of like wrap up this tutorial is to add like a pagination, because for now, if I would add like 100 tutorials, they would be just rendered here on the main page and it would be forever long, right? That's not something I want. I want to have some kind of pagination. So for example, if we have reached 9 tutorials, I want to separate them to auto pages so that we have to click on them and then, you know, see the other 9 tutorials, for example. So we will do this. Maybe my internet is already working. No, it's not. So I will pause the video here, and once my internet connection is again working, I will start again, and then we will finish this tutorial, right? So see you in just a moment. Alright, so finally my internet is working again, and so for this last part we will add will paginate to our app so that we have some kind of pagination. So let's go to rubygames.org and then search for will paginate. I will just copy this here to the clipboard as always, and then let's head over, close everything inside our app, and then inside the GAM file I would just paste it in like so, and then of course we need to run bundle install, and then will paginate is pretty much straightforward. So let's click here in documentation, and then we need to head over to our landing controller. And instead of saying tutorials equals to tutorials all, we need to change that to tutorials equals to tutorial paginate, and then the page is the param page. Okay, parents page. There we go. And then we can of course remove that. And we can also limit then later on here the amount of items we want to display. Let's head over to index.html ERB and make sure to go to the landing index page. Then down here, I guess, where we have our container. Yeah, just under the end tag here. Let's just add here will paginate and then add tutorials. Make sure to close that. And then we can start the server, and with that we should be able to see already a pagination. Actually we will not, because we have not limited the items per page, and currently we have, I think, only 3 items, so obviously we will not be able to paginate or go to our next page, because for that we would need to create more items. And let's see documentation if I did everything. I think it's not inside these here, but just like so. Let's just change this here per page to 1. Okay, now it worked. And now we can see the pagination because we limited it to 1 item. So if I click on next, you see it works. Okay. Obviously this doesn't look that good, so let's see. I am inside the row, I guess, at least. Not quite sure where does it stop. We have here. Yeah, let's just try to add this here under this div, because I think with that we are outside the row and should be at the bottom. That's the case. And then we can just add here a flex box quickly with a flex row, and then justify content center. And again, I have to change it to HTML. There we go. Okay, and so we can also add like a padding of 3 here, and this should now be aligned here at the center. And let's add here a class of padding 3, and with that we should be set to go. Alright, looks already much better. Okay, obviously I don't want to limit that to 1 item, but to, I guess, 9 items, so we have 3 columns with that. Yeah, so let's quickly create here a few. So again, a Slack clone, doesn't really matter. Let's take Instagram, create tutorial. And the only downside with our current setup is actually that it takes a little bit longer when we create a new tutorial, because it's always loading or taking the screenshot background, but it doesn't take that long, right? It always takes a screenshot, and once it has taken a screenshot, we no longer have any issues loading the page or whatsoever. So I think we're fine with that. I don't think that's an issue. Yeah, that looks good. For some reason I don't like that this is so small. Okay, so I was kind of like able to fix this finally. All I did was I added to the card a style of min height of 300 pixels, and then to the image tag a height of 150 pixels, and then to the width a 50%. Okay, this way it kind of works. Okay, I mean, you can play around with UFs, but obviously we would need to kind of like crop our image, but I'm fine with that, to be honest, because once we click on view, it's always, you know, super sharp, so I don't mind that for now. Probably would need some kind of fix where we find a workaround how we can recrop the image. Normally we could use something like Minimagic for that. The problem with that is that I'm storing it as a string, so yeah, we would need to add additional lines of codes to actually do that. I would just leave it as is because obviously it works. For now, let's just add a few more tutorials because I want to reach the point where I basically have my first pagination. Alright, so I've created now a bunch of links here, and as you can see we have now 3 columns and 3 rows, and I have now here the pagination because I've created overall 10 links. So if I click on next, or actually I create 11 tutorials, and so you see we have now the second page, and there are all the the next columns or rows with tutorials. Obviously awesome. Now this is all working. I'm super happy with that, and again it all works, especially once we click on the image. Again, this is just like a preview. I'm super happy how it turned out here on the show page, and again you could basically resize that, but maybe that's something for part 2. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I will fix this at some point, but for now we're finished with that. I hope you enjoyed so far. There are a few things that are left. Now there are just a few minor quick fixes that I want to do. So let's close here everything, and then let's head over and do first off let's head over to the tutorials controller, and down here we simply will say, hey, if the tutorial image link is not nil, well, if it's nil, do this. If not, don't create a new screenshot, because we don't want to create every time we visit the show page a new screenshot. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, let's head over to the form from our tutorial, and here I will quickly create a form group and just copy and paste it here. And then for the fields I will add a class of form control, and then just copy that and paste it here in as well, like so. And now if I head over to manage tutorials and create a new tutorial, we have at least a little bit better looking form. Now let's add here a div container at the top, and again I have to use HTML, like so, container, and then we just take all of that and just paste that in. Okay. Now we'll have some space here at the left and right side, and actually we can remove this here from our form and do this inside new. Okay, so here let's just add the container, let's close that, and with that everything should be now inside the container. Right, so there we go, we have taken care of that. Yeah, we could also change the button quickly as well. So form submit, add tutorial, and then a class of btn small maybe, and then btn outline success. So with that we should have like a more decent looking link here. All right, now let's also take care quickly of the index tutorials page. So all I will do here is to add simply also a container, and I need to make sure to have HTML again selected, and then with sake the div, and just paste it here at the bottom. And with that, this should be also aligned more to the center. All right, looks already much better. Okay, we got all of that. I also want to have, like for the nav bar, quickly a new link here, just under manage. Let's create a new one, HTML. Okay, and then link to, and then create or share tutorial, and then new tutorial path class text white. And let's close that, and with that we should also have now here a link to create a new tutorial whenever we are signed in, and here we can manage the tutorials right. Okay, so we got all of that down. I would consider this app now finished. Obviously there are a few things missing, and that would be something for part 2, but overall we can create tutorials, we can share them, we have paginations, we can view them, we can click on these links. This would take us to the shared link, and overall it just works fine. Now, I just want to mention that there will be definitely a part 2 where we will add even more features, but part 2 will be on my new website that we will launch very soon. So I will share this here on my channel. But with what you have learned today is pretty much everything you need to get restarted to develop this further. But again, there will be a part 2 where I will show you even more things, how to add maybe a search bar, maybe tags, maybe comments, and so much more stuff that can be actually added to that. And I pretty much plan to launch this as a side project of mine. So again, if you guys have learned something, if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, make sure to share it, make sure to like it. If you have any criticism or if you have any suggestions for future tutorials, leave a comment. And other than that, thanks for watching guys as always, and see you maybe next time. Bye.